Howdy, howdy, this is Tony Potter. We're here with Deliverable 3 for our CS6460 Educational Technology course. As you may have seen from our first two videos, we've been implementing a client-side Java compiler and execute, which will load files not only from your hard drive, but from Google Cloud. And we'll also be able to share those files with other people. So if you're working collaboratively as a team, or if you're a student and needing to turn in assignments to your teacher, or a teacher sending out materials to their students, I'm hoping that this would be a situation where a teacher could use this in a classroom where the teacher does not have the rights to install a Java compiler, or if they want to use this as in a mobile platform, say an outdoor classroom type situation, or just a situation where you don't have access to your traditional compiler situation. So I want to talk about what we've been doing the past couple of weeks. One of the first things we've done is we have implemented SSL, so we now have HTTP secure on our website, and all of our websites, we have jcloud.net and jcloud.org, are all redirecting securely to jcloud.net. So one of the nice things that we've been able to do is to use the secure let'sencrypt.org. This is a secure certificate service that's actually signed, so the user's not going to get any pop-up messages when they connect to our site. And so what you can see here, here's the code that I have for my virtual host and for my secure. Notice that instead of putting it in the standard directory, it's putting it in the Let's Encrypt folder for our certificates in our chain. So what this means is when I go to my website and I do, if I do jcloud.com, I'm going to notice a couple of things. It automatically redirects to jcloud.net, so that's kind of my main directory. And I see this green padlock over here. This is secure. I'm not getting any pop-up messages saying this is a self-signed certificate. So that's really nice. This website can be trusted. So that's the first thing that we have been dealing with. This has actually been taking a majority of the time. And the reason that we had to implement this is a lot of the Google API, which we're going to be using, requires secure sockets, because of course we're dealing with the Google, a person's Google identity when they're talking about logging into their drive. So loading files, uploading files, downloading files, and sharing files, it needs to be secure. So that's really what we've done so far with that. I've also implemented a couple of other things. I haven't done this yet, but I've been working on it, started working on this, the idea of compiling and executing Java code. Java has some really nice stuff in it, but the main idea is that I don't want the user of this software to have to download a JDK, a Java Development Kit. A Java runtime environment should be sufficient, and there's this wonderful process that Trung has come up with, and I've got a link to his GitHub on the screen here, this in-memory Java compiler. So rather than having to compile from a file, we're going to we're going to take the code we already have in memory in our text field and compile it in memory. It's a little bit slower than compiling it from the command line or compiling it from a file, but this does allow us to keep everything in memory, keeps everything client side. If I can get this to work either as a web app or as an applet, this should be good to go. Of course, Chrome has issues with applets, so I'm trying to work around that right now. What I have been able to implement also is this idea that I can read and write source code to a local hard drive. And so I'm going to demonstrate that real quick. So here's my jcloud website that we just saw loaded. I have two folders down here. One is my Java folder, and I've got a program called Maze. This is just some code here that traverses a two-dimensional ASCII maze. And then I've got my downloads folder, which is empty. And so the idea here is I'm going to be able to upload my file to the jcloud website, and then I should be able to download any changes that I've made and see those changes downloaded, reflected in this download folder. So I'm going to go ahead and get to my upload file, and I'm going to upload maze.java, and I'm going to see it uploaded here. Here's the same file that we just saw a moment ago. So notice this is the exact same file that we had over here. I'm going to make some changes to it. I'm going to enter, and I'm going to put a comment here. This is a test just ignore me. Why did that not become a comment? I think I have a question mark here. I'm still dealing with this line number issue, and I'm having a lot of fun trying to get that to work. So now I've got this. This is a test. Just ignore me. Now if I hit download file, it's going to download this to my folder. And if I go to my downloads folder, I'll see that maze.java has come up. And if I double click on it, I'm going to see this is a test comment, the just ignore me comment. This is saving it without the carriage return line feeds. This is saving it as a Linux type file save, and so I'm going to have to fix that. That's something minor, though. I've proven that I can upload and download source code file. So that's one of the things that we've got implemented here. So going on to our next page, we also need to be able to share source and output with another drive. So that's what we're talking about here. So if I go back to my website, I want to talk about how to implement this. First thing saying is that the opening from Google Drive doesn't work fully. It does latch onto the file, but it does not get all of the contents of the file. But I need to have the file ID in order for this to work. So I'm going to click open from Google Drive. It's going to initialize. I'm going to call on some file. Let's call this desktester.java. And notice that it does update the file name up here with the file name, but it's not changing this code. What you'll also see up here is this. This is actually the 64-bit encoded file ID that Google uses to keep track of this particular file on its system. And this is the file ID that I want to share. Now, if you'll notice, I've got two drives up here. This drive is my personal drive. So this is my tonydavidpotter@gmail.com. And then this is another drive that I've got. This is my mistapotta@gmail.com. Notice currently nothing's being shared with this account. So if I go down here and I do share source with Google Drive, click on it. Why are you being so picky? Okay, so I ran into a little issue. I had to re-upload a file, so I went over here to upload. So I've got my deck tester that I just did. Make sure I've got it selected. Notice, of course, that it's got my ID up here at the top. And if I click on this share source with Google Drive, it does bring up a share dialog, share with others. And so if I do mistapotta@gmail.com, I can change this where they can edit or can view. Either one of those will work. I'm going to leave it as can edit. I'm going to hit send. And what that does now, if I go over here, I should see that I now have a file that's being shared with me. And it's not working. Oh, here it is. Here's the deck tester now. It's being shared. So I have access to this file, and I don't have a way to currently open it right now because .java is not one of the default text files for Google Drive. But I should be able to set it up where I double click on this and it will open up in our JCloud app. Notice that when I double click on it, it actually gives us one of those options to do that, but it's not working correctly. So that's something that I'm going to have to implement later. So got some things that we're working on here. Definitely made some great strides. This upcoming week we should implement a lot more of these features. We should be a lot closer to a fully running application. So once again, this is Tony Potter. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.